So here's my notes that I'll use on this philosophy video. No lie, nothing on that side. A few scribbles on this side, and that's it. I'm just gonna wing it. I don't care. I had more prepared notes from last summer actually on this topic. I looked for them, and all the note sheets I have, I can't even find them. And I was getting ready to do some KRVs today, knife review videos. TMPers know what that means. I say it because some guys don't know what it means. Yeah, KRVs. And I have the camera all swapped around. I was like, it's set up for me to be in front of the camera, so I might as well just do this video now. So here we go. It's another Lessons of My Father life philosophy video. If you don't know what that is years ago I posted a couple videos about concepts that I felt my dad taught me, that I have tried to teach my boys, and honestly improve upon them. Because my dad wasn't perfect, and actually we're not perfect, any of us as parents. We all have flaws. There's things we do really good and maybe things we don't do so good. And I hope through this video maybe you can instill the lessons of recreation in your children if you're a parent. Or if you're a young fella, young gal, maybe you can integrate them into your life. Because amazingly, it's very important to your personal happiness. Actually, it's very important to you surviving in several ways, not just physically, but spiritually surviving. And I'm going to attempt to talk about it. In this video, I'm going to call Have Fun, but Don't Destroy Yourself. I'll ask you a question to start off with. How much fun are you going to have today? Well, you're watching this video, so you're going to have some fun, right? I hope it should be fun, what we're going to talk about. And yes, we get serious at times and we get silly at times. But in the end, I hope to be able to maybe impart a little life lesson to you. How much fun are you going to have today? Well, I think most dudes watching this will say, not too much. I'm working. I would really like to be able to do such and such, and I just can't do it. I can't fit in the schedule. Or I have health problems. I'm not able to get out. And I have designs to have some real fun, but I can't do it. Now, if you've been watching TMP for some time, and I hope you have, if not, if you're new, welcome. A common theme to what goes on in the nutnfancy project is fun. You have fun. And I actually more categorize that as making memories. So you're investing your time wisely, making memories in that activity. A good example would be the motorcycle video that I posted with Bucket Nuster and I narrating it. There's a link at the top right there. Go watch that, even if you're not into motorcycles, and you'll understand the concept that I'm talking about. And we discuss it as we narrate the video. I really liked how that turned out. It has a real good spirit to it. It's cool. It's not just about motorcycling. It's about investing your time with family and friends and having fun.
I don't know, man. That's got to be awesome.
That is a lesson from my dad. Now, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Actually, I don't know if I've ever grown up. Physically, I grew up. I still have the mentality of an 18-year-old in a lot of ways. Whatever. I hope we're all young in mind, right? In some ways. Mature in others, but the love of life, the ability to have fun, not take yourself too seriously, is something we should all have. But I did grow up in a really cool time, I feel, in the United States. I grew up in the southern portion of the United States in Alabama, Florida. I don't know if you guys know this. I'm mostly a southern boy. Yeah. Florida, Alabama, Virginia, and then Utah were my main states. Oh, Oregon, too. I was an Air Force brat. Now, during that time, I had a single dad. Grandpa nutnfancy. Okay, and the dude was amazing. He was an Air Force pilot like I was an Air Force pilot. I'm retired now. Yes, I followed in Dad's footsteps in that. That was cool. And he was busy, and he divorced my mom when I was 7 years old. So I grew up, you could say, in a broken home. I'm a product of a broken home. It's a fact, and maybe that's why I'm so warped. But my mom is also super, super awesome, and she imparted to me lessons of my mother. You know, the ability to appreciate, protect, and love wildlife, which I do. The ability to be sensitive to your environment, I'm kind of an environmentalist in a lot of ways. Don't know if you knew that, but I am. The sensitivity to nature, the appreciation for art. Pretty much a lot of right brain stuff I got from Mom. The left brain stuff, and actually some right brain stuff I got from my dad. The ability to organize, to work hard, to be analytical, solve problems, to follow through, to be reliable, to work hard, all the other stuff, not all, but some of the other stuff I've included in other videos. But my dad won custody of us kids. So it was my mom, my mom and dad got divorced when I was 7. So I lived primarily with my older brother, my older sister, and then I had a half-sister I lived with off and on as well. He did a pretty good job as a single dad raising us, considering that he was carrying the load of a very busy Air Force career by himself. So sometimes he would deploy for weeks on end, and we wouldn't see Dad forever. And we kind of, during those periods, raised ourselves. And yes, things got wild. They got out of hand. They did. But when Dad was home, he did his very best to recreate with us. And that's where I'm going with this. And not just recreate. I'm not talking about just throwing the baseball in the backyard, which is important, dad time. I'm not talking about, going to wherever, the park. All that's important, but I don't know if it really sears into your memory. What Dad did is he took us on amazing adventures. For instance, one year while we lived in Virginia, he goes, we're going to Shenandoah National Park. And he said, I want you to get caught up in school. You will miss school. And my dad was famous for this, by the way. He'd say, you're going to leave school for a while, so catch up on your studies. And I would. And he's like, I'll pull you out for like 3 days. And he did, which was awesome. And we went to Shenandoah National Park. So I brought my best friend, Sean, at the time. My sister brought her friend. My brother brought his friend. And we all went up into the park. And we stayed up there camping in a tent. I don't know if I ever told you that story of where my dad kicked a black bear in the rump. Did I ever tell you that? It was on that trip. Real quick. I'm in the tent. He wakes up. He goes, wake up, wake up, wake up. There's a bear outside. And I'm like, I don't know, 9 years old or something. And he gets me on his shoulder. So I'm riding on his shoulders like, let's just go check it out. And the bear was inside a garbage can. And my dad, by the way, was not an idiot. So if you hear the story and go, well, that's stupid. He knew bear. He grew up with them. Both in Oregon, where he was mostly from, all over the country. And he goes and he kicks that black bear in the butt. No, I'm not lying. Dead serious. I saw it with my own eyes. The bear gets up, and at the time they didn't have the garbage cans anchored in the park. He raises up with the garbage can over his freaking head. He can't see, and he's running off, and he finally slings the garbage can off, and I'm freaking. I'm like, Dad, we're going to get killed from this bear. He's like, nah, we're fine. Oh, that's another thing about my dad. He would go through stuff like this and just go, no, we're good. We're good. Don't worry about it. And he would downplay my fear, my trepidation that I have. And it's funny now that I think about it, I have that with my own kids. That I'm like, you guys are being pussies, okay? You need to relax. We're going to work out. And that is, I think, a very important quality to at least instill in your boys, probably your girls too, to not stress out, kind of see things realistically. Anyways, the bear goes trucking off. He's terrified of us. He doesn't turn and attack us. No, it's a black bear. I don't know if I'd do that to a Kodiak. But black bear, yeah, small black bear, whatever. That was that trip. So I have a great memory from that, from trout fishing in the streams with Sean, hiking around in Shenandoah, and that was one trip. And speaking of bear, while we lived in Virginia, we're still talking about the importance of making memorable family adventures and memories. That's the concept I'm in this segment of the video that I'm talking about. And I don't know how long this will be, probably 55 minutes, but there's a lot to cover, and I think it's really important and entertaining to you guys, so hang with me. So that was one trip. Another time, he'd say, get caught up in school, I'm taking you hunting, and we went bear hunting. So yeah, in Virginia. We don't go bear hunting like most people do, at least back then in the 1970s. Late 70s, this is probably like 1979. He says, we're going to go backpacking. So, and I've said this before, mentioned it in other videos, I think. So we went backpacking. That's how we bear hunted. Me with my Remington 1100. No, it wasn't a, it was some shotgun, auto shotgun. You'd think I'd be able to remember. I think it was a Remington. And with buckshot and slugs is what I had loaded. And then my dad had his Remington, I want to say, it was a semi-auto 30-06, whichever model that was. It'll come to me. And we'd go hike deep into the Shenandoah Mountains and the Mountain Laurel, and that's where we hunted bear. Lots of great memories from that, and lots of really tough memories. You know, for instance, I still have the scar, I think. I fell with a this was a different trip. We did it several times. I was carrying a Winchester 30-30, and I fell and split my finger. I have several scars. This one is where, I think it's this scar right here. I can't be sure. I have so many scars on my fingers. But it's that one. I split my finger open, and yeah, I remember this, and it's kind of touching for me because I was really frustrated at the time. It was snowing and sleeting as we hiked in, and I hope I haven't told this story before. Maybe I have. I don't remember. And I split my finger. I'm bleeding, and it hurts really bad, and I'm really frustrated and pissed, actually, that we have to hike so far in to where we're going. I'm constantly asking, where are we going? When are we going to get there? Yeah, I was like that, too. And Dad comes over, he sits on the log, he says, take your pack off, let's take a break. And I just remember this. It moves me because there's a kindness to my dad that I still remember. And I was really cold, my feet were super cold, my hands were cold, I was bleeding. He wrapped up my finger, and then he hit my bare feet against his stomach so I could warm my feet up. And we sat there for 20 minutes just talking. And he was calming me down and getting me in a frame of mind where I can continue the adventure. Now, was that fun? That adventure? Yes, it was. In the broad spectrum of fun, which I would hope that you would adopt. And that is, fun sometimes requires work. In the adventure, it requires work. Everything in T&P is that way. Sorry, I got a little tear. Yeah, it happens. The adventure will require work. I mean, you don't just get, helicoptered into the area and go, oh, we're going to make sure you don't have any exertion in this adventure. A lot of the prepackaged vacations and all this garbage, touristy crap, I can't stand, because that's what it is. We want to minimize no work for you. So you just show up, you don't do anything, you just sit on the beach and lounge around. Mrs. Nutnfancy and I took a vacation to Hawaii one year like that, and we sat around, we're looking at each other and go, this sucks. I mean, we're taking in an adventure or an occasion that most people would go, that is amazing, you went to Hawaii and sat on the beach and did nothing? You're like, yeah, but we weren't happy doing it because of the way we're put together. We are both Mrs. Nutnfancy, my wife of 26 years, and myself, we're project people. We like working and having fun and making the types of memories on that hunting expedition. Well, maybe not Mrs. Nutnfancy, but I do. There's lots of great memories from that outing. My dad, a lot of the stuff that I've imparted video form came from going on those hardcore expeditions, both hunting and just camping expeditions with my dad, backpacking. That's the way I was raised. Dad put my feet in there. I mean, I will always remember that. It's one of my most treasured memories of my dad because it showed how kind-hearted he was, and yet he saw the bigger picture for his boy of, this is something I want you to do, and it'll be a good time you and I spend together, and it was. And by the way, we did get a black bear on that trip. Yeah, I shot at it. It came through the camp, and I think I got one buckshot pellet in it, and Dad killed it with his 30-06. And they ran dogs on him, too. They weren't our dogs, they were other guys. Bubba's hunting from their freaking trucks. But lots and lots of family memories. My dad bought 2 Grumman canoes for us. And sometimes making family memories is going to cost money. Sometimes you have to spend some of your life savings on life. That's what Dad did. He's like, I'm going to get us 2 Grumman canoes, and we're going to use the heck out of these. And we did. We would take those Grumman canoes. I think he bought them in Virginia, Hampton, Virginia. At the time, they were not inexpensive. I mean, they're aluminum. They're made by the same company at the time that made the freaking Hellcat. The F4F and the F6F Hellcat, Grumman. And we took them to lakes and paddled around on lakes. We had water fights. My dad even bolted 2 of the freaking canoes together. He made this totally custom rig where he made a pontoon boat out of it for duck hunting. So we took that rig out into the Chesapeake Bay with a little Evinrude or whatever motor out there. Then he made a blind for it. So we had a duck blind, 2 Grumman canoes. I mean, that guy was so mechanical and so ingenious. And man, was it fun. And it kind of sucked at times too. I mean, we're sitting in the rain, it's cold, but we're in the canoes and we're making memories. I mean, this is all you do in life is make memories. So the key point of this video is, what memories are you and have you made for you and your family and friends in your attempt to have fun? We're going to talk about the concept of not destroying yourself along the way. That's a very important part of this Lessons of My Father. But what are you doing? Are you getting 2 canoes and going out there in the bay and the lake? Man, what a good time that was. You know, that's all we got is memories. We took those canoes, you know, to Utah, and then we went whitewater canoeing. Yeah, and like, I don't know how you classify rapids, like class 3 rapids. Again, my dad's like, don't worry about it, we're good. I am not kidding. In like spring runoff, we would take these canoes. I'll try to find some photos for you and roll them in. And we'd go paddling down. I'm just a little kid, and then we had like friends of the family come with us. My brother was with us. We did this a lot, so there's a lot of expeditions, not just one. And sometimes we'd freaking be in these rapids, we're canoeing. And by the way, my dad taught us how to canoe. He was really good in the canoe. He learned. So he taught the paddle strokes, how to do it, how to distribute your weight. You'd be amazed at what you can take in a canoe if you know what you're doing. The problem is we didn't know what we were doing. Not us kids. And so we would swamp this thing in the freaking, whitewater rapids, and we got to figure out how to, the current's pushing up against it. We got to yank it out of the river. It was a mess. But we got better at it. We did it again. Then we got confident at it. And lo and behold, we became, to some level, whitewater canoeists. Thanks to my dad. Was it fun? Yes. Did it involve risk? Oh, another point of the video. A life worth living will have some risk, usually. The answer is yes, it involved risk. Everything you do, in my opinion, that's worthwhile will involve risk. You can fail. You might get hurt. If you're not good at operating that dangerous thing, which I've talked about a lot, you could die. It can happen. So yeah, it involved risk, but isn't that kind of what makes it cool? Worthwhile? Why we're coming down the whitewater, which just still cracks me up. 2 kids, with minimal instruction coming down there. Oh, my dad would be in front of us. He'd be in one. He would run a freaking canoe down, I'm not making this up, down a river by himself. Successfully. That's how good he was. We'd be behind him, flailing. We got it eventually. Yeah, so before I leave this, the family memory thing, I could go on and on about all the adventures my dad took us on and all the concepts we learned along the way. But what I got out of it is awesome, awesome family memories. A lot of what is prepackaged by society and sold as family memories, I don't think are really that awesome. Whatever you want to call it. I just don't. I'm an adventure guy. I like going out in the woods. I like going tactical shooting, which, by the way, my dad wasn't really into. I'd go shooting, and he goes, "So what'd you kill?" Like, nothing. I was just shooting with my friend. I had a really good friend, Creed Walton, who was older than me. And we used to go shooting in the freaking pits, the sand pits of Hampton, Virginia, where I lived. And he had a 30 carbine, M1 carbine, and we'd go shooting that. My Ruger 1022, he had a Smith & Wesson Model 59, and we'd come back just having a blast. And by the way, that wasn't a dad memory, that was a friend memory. And that was one of my treasured memories as well, going out there and shooting frogs. Actually, we'd shoot bullfrogs occasionally in that sand pit. Gravel pit, sand pit, whatever. But usually we're just plinking around, shooting blocks of wood in the water. I'd come back, "Hey, how many rounds you shoot?" I was like, "I went through a whole brick of 22, Dad." He's like, 500 rounds? What'd you kill? I was like, "Well, I got a frog." Or sometimes nothing. He just couldn't wrap his mind around that. To him, shooting guns, you could do it recreationally, but he was a hunter. That's what he liked doing. Family memories. What are you creating for your kids? Make it worthwhile, plan it out, and put some work element into it. And yes, some risk element into it, and that brings us to our next point. A life worth living will have some risk. Now, when I was in the Air Force, I served as a safety officer, and there was this really stupid program, in some ways, called Operational Risk Management. I think I've referenced it in some other videos. It's the one I told you, the M1 Abrams, the IFV story, the rollover ones, Bradley. But operational risk management, there is something good that it talks about, and that is if we're totally concerned with risk and the elimination of risk, the mission will not get done. And that is a true statement. So what ORM at the time, and I know this is a dumb example, but it really drives home the point. What ORM did is it would balance it. It's like, we're still going to do the mission. We're still going to get shot at in our planes. We still have to fly at night in bad weather, fatigued. How can we mitigate that risk? Man, that's wise, right? Common sense, you would think. And so what it tried to do is quantify and, make that a program where guys can tap into it. That's, I think, how you should approach your life. He's like, we're still going to go out and canoe down that river. How can we mitigate our risk? How can we protect ourselves? Well, we'll put life jackets on. Cool. We'll train the boys for 2.3 minutes. Whatever it was. I'm just being, silly. No, it's longer than that. And then, we'll take it. We'll do everything we can to mitigate risk. But there's always some risk. A lot of it, actually most of it, is in your control of how you approach that activity, how you protect yourself with protective gear, how you train yourself to do that activity. You can eliminate almost all the risk doing that. Now, Sunday, the front wheel of my motorcycle, in so many words, fell off while I was riding. Some risk just finds you. You can't mitigate it. But since I had my protective gear on, I had a full helmet, I had a full protective suit on, both shoulder, elbow, arm pads. I didn't have thigh protection. Oh, and by the way, here's what happened because I didn't. Check out that bruise. It kills. Yeah. Ouch. But I had knee protection and I had hand protection. Of course, the helmet again. And all that came into play when I go high siding off a motorcycle at 45 miles an hour into the pavement and into the gravel. For mountain biking, but apparently, and yet here I am talking to you because I prepared myself. Without that, I'm here for a reason, I guess. My life has been, kind of preserved these last couple weeks, and I'm just amazed by it. Maybe this is why. But I get on the camera and impart this crap to you guys. So, on that ride, and I'm just using that as an example, I go out on a motorcycle, for instance, and I love motorcycles. I like dirt riding, street riding, sport bike riding, adventure riding. I do it all. And I'm pretty good at it. I'm safe. I don't take unnecessary risks. I've logged 15,000 miles within the last year alone on all types of motorcycles. I'm pretty good. But there is an element of risk when I climb on a bike that I cannot eliminate. There may be something out of my control that takes me out. And who knows, maybe one day I'll get taken out permanently by doing an activity I love. But it won't be because I was driving stupidly. It won't be because I wasn't prepared. It's just because it wasn't my day. And that can happen in not just motorcycling, but a lot of worthwhile, awesome activities. So you got to ask yourself, well, do I just shut down? I don't do those activities, or do I prepare myself? I say you prepare yourself and do what you're passionate about. I threw a leg over the motorcycle that day, and I was like, I was really debating whether to put that pressure suit on because I was like, do I need this? And I was like, no, I got to do it. I'm wearing full gear. I'm not going to assume everything's going to be awesome. And man, am I glad I did. My shoulder is killing me. It would have been completely wrecked. My face. I just don't know if I would have survived it. You can see the helmet where it hit. I just don't know if I would have survived it. I would have been extremely messed up. And that's at that speed at 45 miles an hour. We had been doing much faster than that during the day. Had that brake caliper. And I said the wheel fell off. It's actually the brake caliper. The mechanic didn't put it on correctly. Shame on him. We're talking about that. the bolt rotated out, and then when I applied brakes, it swiveled and locked up on the rotor, and the wheel stopped rotating immediately. The best way to describe that to people who aren't motorcyclists is the wheel fell off. They understand that, because there's no wheel that's functioning on the front. It's like, you stop. A life worth living will have some risk, though. You know, I look at neighbors and people I know, and their definition of fun is totally risk-free, you know, tourist-type activities, and I don't fault them for it. I mean, do what you want, but it's just not the way I run. It's not what I look at as like a life fulfilling. You can take that too far, though. And this is another, we're going to start transitioning into have fun, but don't destroy yourself. Because there's guys that do some stupid crap out there that I think are way over the top. That their risk, you know, is like 50-50. So you have a 50% chance of dying when you do this activity. I feel like in motorcycling, this is just my stats, no one else's, 90% of the risk you can dial out by how you drive, how you're trained, how you prepare yourself, dress yourself. 10%, yeah, maybe high as 10%. It's out of your hands. It's just, you know, you could be doing everything right that day and it still doesn't work out for you. Someone kills you that day. Or your freaking wheel falls off. But some guys take it way too far. You know, I'm trying to remember the dude's name that climbed. He did the speed climbing record in Yosemite. Osmond, something like that. And that dude died basically jumping off a bridge with ropes. It's kind of like bungee jumping. There's a name for it. I'll annotate if I find it. You guys know what it is. And the ropes he jumped with had been sitting out in the sun. So when dude jumps off the bridge, and the idea is that he's jumping with climbing ropes, which have a bunch of elongation built into them. They're built to, you know, take up shock if the guy falls while rock climbing. But they're using it in this application for essentially bungee jumping. He goes jumping off the bridge. Didn't really inspect his ropes that well. And they snap and he falls to his death. There's a friend of mine that I know personally who base jumps. And he does it illegally. He'll go to places like high towers, which I think after 9/11 has... you know, if you get caught doing this now, it's really bad juju. It's like a felony. But he used to do it all the time. He and his friends would sneak under or over the barbed wire fence. They'd climb up this huge tower. There's one near Sacramento, he did it. And they go base jumping at night. That's too much risk for me. And a lot of different levels. Legally, it's too much risk. To your body, it's too much risk. It's stupid. Now, we all have different scales on what we determine is a stupid activity or not. I think most people would go hang gliding, not doing it. Base jumping, not doing it. A lot of people go motorcycling, not doing it. And I don't fault them for it. Because we all have, I don't know, our own scale of what we say, this is worth it, this is the memory I'm going to get out of it, these are the positive benefits brought to myself and my family by doing this activity, this is the risk I have to mitigate. Everyone's like that. But my point in saying this story is don't be stupid. You know, again, to the moto example, if you're going to go out, full protective gear, dude. Yeah, but I don't like the constriction of the helmet. Well, you're an idiot. In my book. That day, when I go high-siding off the KTM, if I had not had that helmet, I would not be here. I may have survived it, you know, critical, but oh my gosh, and how hard is it to wear a helmet? You know, I see guys running down the highway all the time on their bikes. No helmet, no protector gear, t-shirt. I just shake my head. Sure, when I go into a store, I'm fully protected. Guys look at me like, where are you? Did you just fall off a ship or something? Yeah, I got my inflatable hit air, which, by the way, I didn't have it on that day. That's an inflatable safety vest. When you bail off a motorcycle, it inflates. But since I had it's called a vapor pressure suit. It's a proprietary name for a protective motorcycle jacket. I didn't wear it that day. And it probably wouldn't help in that particular crash because where I hit. But so we all have a sliding scale of what's totally dangerous and we would never ever do ever. And, you know, determine what that is. How about hiking? How about what I've done in done in the nutnfancy project for you guys testing the gear? There's an element of risk to it. Don't kid yourself. I've gone in the backcountry alone. deep in canyons where I can't have my GPS spot messenger send a signal if I get hurt. Well, go with someone nutnfancy. Well, I usually do, but sometimes because of my schedule, I want to get this review done. I don't, and I go in and it's, 0 degrees outside. I don't know, in winter conditions, sometimes 2 miles back, which is like 20 miles back in summer because it's really remote, deep snow. If I get hurt, or if I cut myself with one of those freaking blades, not good. I cut an artery doing some of those big knife tests, and I've really preached this to my audience. Watch out.
You can carry it up here.
So there's a level of risk there. I talk about it on camera. I'll still do it
Freaking
here and there.
Just
Balance your risk out. Next concept. Now, I asked you the question, what are you going to do fun today? And some of you may answer, well, I'm going to do this, man. I'm got a crick in my throat. It's like, I'm just going to party. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go. I don't have work. You need work. And the concept is you must have a balance in your life. One of the lies sent out in society is that your life should be all about pleasure. Maximizing pleasure, personal pleasure, personal gratification, instant gratification is a message of this asinine society we live in. Do it at all costs. It doesn't matter. It's all about you and your pleasure. And that is a lie. Total lie. It's societal brainwashing. If you don't believe me, go look at the statistics of happiness and success of people who have won the lottery, who have a ton of money, and they can go out and do whatever they want. They can buy whatever cars they want, motorcycles they want. How happy are those people? That's right, they're not happy at all. They're miserable. There's very few success stories on people who have won large sums of money, which I will say do not have the value system to support that influx of money. I think it could be done well, but you're going to have a value system. The very one we're talking about here, about concept of work, concept of life balance. If I won a ton of money, you know what? I wouldn't change a thing about how I'm living. I hope you wouldn't either. You should still keep working the same job you're working, unless it really sucks and you want something better. But then go get the better job, Go get that education you need, the training you need, and go get that other job, because that gives you life balance. It gives you self-esteem, self-worth when you're working. A life lived completely around pleasure does not. It's selfish and it's hollow. It has no meaning. Lesson of my father. He taught me this too. He's like, hey man, you think it's party time? And he'd tell me stories like, I know this person, he lives this way, he's miserable. You need to work in life, and you need to work hard in life. I'll give you an example. So yesterday was sunny. I have on my list to serve my audience, which is ongoing. TMP Nation. I was like, I want to do this video. I know they want this review. I want to review that. I didn't do any of it. What did I do? I went out and rode my motorcycles. Plural, that's right. Well, no, it wasn't motorcycles. I rode a sport bike, and then I rode Killer, the 350Z, which was a freaking rush. And that's another thing that I like doing. I like motorsports of all types. I felt selfish. I was like, I need to go back and I need to work. I don't have the concept. Oh, by the way, it's apart from my other job, I have a day off. So I have to do all my other stuff, my real job, then I do TMP, and sometimes I cram in fun. But I felt selfish, and I didn't feel like that day I had a balance, and I didn't mark it at what I call a green day. So I have in my little calendar book a green day. I mark it with a green marker when I feel like it is well invested. I will mark today as a green day, if for no other reason, this video. So you got to have balance. And today I'm getting that balance. And then after I work in TMP, I work in my real job, then I feel like I've earned the right to go have some fun. You with me? But if everything is about fun, that's all you do, you don't have work balance, you're not going to be happy. You'll be miserable. A lot of you are probably nodding your head because you've been there. You're like, yep, I had all this, I was doing this, and I was probably the most unhappy time in my life. Even if you have a job you hate, that unpleasantness gives you balance. And that's where my son, last suspect, is now, my youngest one. He's working a job he hates. And by the way, I'm teaching him to ride a motorcycle safely. But he hates that job. Oh, I'll come back to this. I gotta tell you a quick story. My dad did not teach me how to ride motorcycles, by the way. Nope. I don't know why that. I don't remember it if he did. He never sat down and was like, hey, do this. No. I have with my boys, like, to the nth degree I've done it. And I'm doing it with my youngest son. Why? To mitigate risk. Going back to that concept. You know, if we're going to do this activity, we're going to drive this dangerous thing, we're going to do it right. We're going to pilot it correctly. Just like an aircraft, just like a car. We're going to drive this motorcycle safely, and I have a whole bunch of lessons learned and things you can do to do so. Not just what you wear, but how you drive, your situational awareness, how you integrate into traffic, all that stuff. I'm teaching Last Suspect. Oh, by the way, he's 16 years old. Yeah, he is. And he loves it. It has motivated him to get the job. It's turned him into a responsible person. It is his passion right now. And it's all good. Is there risk involved? Yes. Going back to that concept. There is. And we're not good with it as parents. But we weigh everything on the scale. We look, this is all the benefits happening to this kid. Responsibility, work ethic, appreciation. He's more respectful because of all of this. He relates to dad, to my other son, you know, through this shared passion. But I digress. My dad didn't teach me that. He didn't teach me how to ride a motorcycle. So what I do, as a kid, I went out and I stole his motorcycles and rode them anyhow. True statement. Well, I didn't start off with his motorcycles. Our neighbor had a CB100, going back to the concept of fun family memories. And our really close family friends, I think his last name was Van Leeuwen. He's in Utah. And I said, hey, that's a cool motorcycle you got in your garage. And they never used it. It was a little tiny motorcycle. I think a Honda CB100. They're like, yeah, you want to ride it? I was like, yeah. And so I would borrow that motorcycle, and I bet 1,000 miles on that little bike. On interstate, I took it off-road. I rode it up in the trails, in the hills, dumped it plenty of times, and I learned. Through the School of Hard Knocks, I learned. And it was an underpowered bike, but man, I'd get it on the freeway, wrapped out at like 60 miles an hour. It was hilarious. But with that, I felt I was a motorcyclist, and then I stole Dad's Norton 850. Yeah, he said, don't touch this bike. It's my pride and joy. Don't touch it. And so my brother and I, he was a huge motorcyclist, well, still is. We'd go out individually and steal this bike and just run all over with it. I'd ran through canyons on it, max performant on the interstate, and I'm all of what? I'll guess 14 years old. No license. Helmet. Even then I was, smart enough to put a helmet on. Yeah, so that's how I learned. That's just neither here nor there. It's a funny story. And then I improved as years go on, hopefully. But my kid hates his job. Hates it. But he comes home, and when he gets on his bike, you should see his eyes. It's just like, he's got that passion. But he has that balance in life. He's cleaning, crap up in the toilet at the supermarket, pulling carts in, doing everybody else's work because they don't know how to work, and then he comes home. And then he's like, have some me time. Right now, it's motorcycles. Life balance serves to your benefit. If you dial out work and actually unpleasantness in your life, you will not enjoy the fun activities as much because you have nothing to compare them to. Everything's great. Now I'm going to go into another. This is going to be huge in this video, and that is don't lose yourself in alternate realities. We're talking about how having fun, but don't destroy yourself. This is a lesson of my father, although when Dad was around, video games and other alternate realities weren't prevalent like they are now. I'm not totally against video games. I think they serve a really good social purpose, actually, in that if you get a group of dudes together playing, and actually even online, it's time spent with your friends, and it can be very fun, very rewarding, and it can provide that life balance when otherwise you could not have it. A case in point is when I deployed to Saudi Arabia, I brought along my Nintendo console, like the Super Nintendo, and I had a game, which I think Tactical Doodles talked to you about, how we run it in our family, Bomberman. Now, Bomberman is awesome. It's a 4-person game, 4 controllers, 4 people play simultaneously, and this is important because you're not sitting around waiting for Joe Blow to get done for your turn. That sucks. Everybody plays. That's a social occasion, and everyone's trying to nuke each other with really some pretty easy to learn, hard to master skill sets. You start 4 dudes in a corner trying to blow each other up. Real simple. Bomberman. 5 minutes to learn, lifetime to master. That's what I told my boys. But that was fun. And I brought it with me when I was a staff dude over in Saudi Arabia into what was our villa in Escon Village. And there were a bunch of people who didn't know each other, that weren't talking to each other. This person did this job as a staffer. He was an Army guy. This guy was an Air Force guy. And we had a common living area with a common television. You didn't have televisions in your individual room. Oh, I know, Air Force life's so tough. We had a village, or a villa and a common living area, not a tent. Actually, I spent a lot of time in tents too, so back off, man. So these guys didn't know me, and I brought the Super Nintendo console out, and I was like, hey, you guys want to play Bomberman? They're like, what? They come back from their work shift, and little by little, people started trickling into the common area. The gals living in the villa, because there's like 8 rooms in a villa. Each one had a private villa. And we coalesced as a group of friends over that silly video game because it was an icebreaker. Because now we get to know each other. We're playing. We can talk smack with each other. We have tournaments. We look forward to it. And we're all working like 8 to 10 hour shifts. Actually 10 hours at that time. So you're exhausted. I can't go out and backpack. I can't go out and mountain bike. I can't go out and motorcycle. I can't go tactical shooting because I'm in a compound deployed in the military. So there, that video game was a lifesaver. It helped me. It helped everyone else. And even to this day, when I run with those people, we're like the best of friends because of all the time we spent doing that. But you can take it too far. And nowadays, the video games are amazing. They are truly alternate realities that you can immerse yourself in it and you forget about everything else. You adopt a different identity. Maybe you're a loser in life, but in your video game, you're a total winner, dude. You're awesome. So it fulfills a lot of, emotional things, I think, in people that they are not getting in real life. And the danger is they slowly lose grasp in a manner of speaking, I will say, of real life, and they go and live an alternate reality. They're really not a participant in real life. They've been taken out of the process. That's bad. You're destroying yourself spiritually with that. Lessons of my father. You have to be engaged in real life. Don't take yourself out with that. Now, you can still have fun just like I did in Escon Village with that video console. Hey, you go work. Hey, dude, I'm going to hook up. We're going to play 2 hours of video games. Awesome. That's not what I'm talking about. That's recreation. That can be wholesome recreation. It can be a balancing force in your life because you can't fit anything else in there. Or even if you can, you choose to do that because you dig it. You want to go shoot 'em up game, whatever. Team tactics, weapons. There's so many cool games. I say rock on, do it. But don't make that the central focus of your life. I don't think it's wholesome. I'm not just going to say I don't think. I know it's not wholesome. And it will lead to less happiness in life, less balance in your life. Now, all the things I've shown over the years here in TMP, well, not all, but most of the skill sets that I've attempted to show come by not staying on a video game console. They come by practicing and doing things, failing at these things, succeeding at these things. Let's take fire making, for instance, and learning in the process. And then you master that process and you're good at it. And now you have a skill set. You have a skill, as Napoleon Dynamite said. I got skills. How many skills are you going to get on the freaking video game console? Well, it helps me this, helps me that. I'm not going to say there aren't some. There are. Organization, communication. And honestly, the younger generation, if it hadn't been for video games, they would have no idea about weaponry. Guns, they know all the guns, tactical rifles, pistols, sometimes even accurate capabilities of it, although sometimes that's very misrepresented in the video game culture. You can learn some things, but In real life, you learn a lot. Through pain and failure, you learn a lot. You know, maybe there's this guy and he's not accepted in his social circles. He's like, well, I'm going to go escape to the video game culture because there I'm accepted. There I'm someone. There they love me. And it might not just be video games. It might be a forum. Anything electronic which takes you completely out of real life living is bad. Well, I want to go to my forum. There I'm somebody. There they love me. There I'm accepted. But at work they hate me. But at video game or the forum, I'm awesome. I've got this rating, I got this many posts, I've got this many thumbs up. Not necessarily bad, but again, if it takes you out of real life, it could be dangerous, I think. Go live life, man. Go find out and crack the code on real life experiences. You'll be a better person out for it. And we talk about economic collapse, WROL. Who do you want by your side? A video gamer or a nutnfancy type? Just saying. Who do you want? Do you want someone to have some skills that have been through this? Like, dude, I know how to stop massive bleeding. I know how to make a hit at 200 yards, 300 yards under stress. I can shoot combatively. I know how to build a fire. I know how to build a shelter. I know how to organize. I know how to fix things. I have mechanical skills. You don't get that on a freaking computer on your forum or doing your video game. You get it out practicing life. Oh, and by the way, these are battles that I've had with my youngest son, Last Suspect. I'll be just straight up with you because he's very much addicted or was addicted to video games. Again, at this stage, subject to change, it seems like writing is going to be his passion to extract him from that. And now, here comes Dad, with the opportunity to teach these life skills of which I am speaking. Hey, dude, you need to fix your bike. So what do? I get him out in the garage. We change the oil. We adjust the chain. I talk to him about the mechanical components of the motorcycle, adjusting this, adjusting that, the brakes. And he's really interested because he has a direct passion for this thing I'm talking about, which before it was abstract. Hey, come out and help me change the oil. Oh, I don't want to. That sucks. Well, do it anyhow. So he'd go through the motions, changing a bike tire or whatever. Is that lasting lessons? Probably not, because I've taken him through that before, and lo and behold, later on, he doesn't remember anything I taught him because he had a bad attitude when I taught him. By the way, this is a hair roller for Allie's hair, which is apparently everywhere, even in the reviewing room. Be careful of alternate realities, please. They will suck you in and they will take you for all you're worth. And in the end, you end up being a 40-year-old dude. You don't have a good job, or maybe you do. But you don't have any of the memories I'm talking about. You don't have any of the skills I'm talking about. Or if you do, you have few of them. Because you've chosen to honestly waste your time in an electronic realm that counts for crap. How awesome were people back in the 1980s when they got that high score on Asteroids or Defender? Oh man, it was a big deal. I remember we used to go to video arcades. So yeah, I've been there myself. We used to spend hours on those video games. Man, you're always trying to get the high score, and people would roll in like, oh dude, you got the high score. Awesome for you. What's it matter now? Decades removed. No one remembers. No one cares. Hey, who had the high score on Defender in that arcade? Who gives a crap? Who had the high score on, Modern Warfare or whatever game you want to choose? Who cares? It's not real. It doesn't translate into real life. Yeah, but I'm awesome in my forum. I'm awesome in my game. Who gives a crap? Real life doesn't care. Does an employer care? You roll in for an interview. Hey man, I got the high score. I'm awesome. Nobody can beat me at this game. Well, that's great. Do you have computer skills and spreadsheet skills? Do you have customer service skills? If you're a police officer, can you shoot and hit your target? No, you can't. Sorry, we're not interested. Not like that. Have fun, but don't destroy yourself. Don't destroy yourself spiritually by just putting your mind in an alternate reality. And don't destroy yourself physically by doing extremely stupid things, where the risk levels are so out of whack that you probably shouldn't do it. Unless, and some of these guys just have a death wish. You know, they're just like, you know, I don't care. You know, I respect the heck out of Jeb Corliss. I really do. But he's come out and said, you know, if you don't know who Jeb Corliss is, look up his channel. He almost got killed in his parachuting, his wings flying that he does, and he freaking clipped a cliff. So he's trying to knock these balloons out, and so he's in his wingsuit, free falling. He's doing, I don't know, $120 or something. He tries to hit these balloons on top of the cliff. He bottoms out. He didn't have as much lift as he thought. There's a video on his channel showing this. He just basically smashed into the cliff and started rolling. Miraculously, Jeb throws his cup out. He's thinking, I'm dead, I'm dead, I'm dead. I'm going to try. Just do what I can. Throws his cup out. Chute deploys. Just in the nick of time. He still slams into the valley floor pretty hard. I think part of his thigh was debrided. The flesh was completely pulled off. And he almost freaking died. Yeah, that guy takes some risks that I would never do. But Jeb, if you talk to him and listen to his interviews, he goes, I was a lost soul before I took this up. And he was like, I don't know, into drugs. Just really said he would have been dead anyhow. So for that type of personality, you know, it's a win. It just depends who the person is. Now he's world famous. I haven't checked in with him lately. I hope he's doing well. I love watching his stuff. I would never do it. It's a sliding scale on what risk you're willing to take. Make family memories. Make friend memories. Invest your time. We're going to do this activity.
Uncomfortable though.
Sometimes it will take you, you know, require that you spend money. Oh well.
Gravity's too far out.
There's sometimes you can do it for free.
What a puss.
You know, I look back on how my dad raised us and all those amazing family memories, and there's hundreds more I could spend a whole time talking to you about, and I won't bore you.
I hated over the ledges.
He did it right. He did that part right. And yet we worked hard too. We had a construction company, a fencing company. We'd go out and we'd dig post holes for, 8 hours straight. And it sucked. I'm talking manually with a shovel and a pick and a Texas digger, setting concrete, wheelbarrowing dirt for hours on end. This was a company that he started and we ran and we worked for, and it sucked. But then we went out and played. We go trout fishing, we go backpacking, we go camping, we go hunting, we go motorcycling. We're digging life. We're like, life balance, man. That sucks so bad. I'm really enjoying this. Really enjoying this. Have fun, but don't destroy yourself. Invest your time wisely. Make family, friend memories, and be careful of those very, deceiving alternate realities. Thanks for watching. This is a Nut and Fancy project. Lessons of my father. See ya.